Family Night lesson number 7, I call this one Egg in a Bottle. And this one's going to involve, you need some sort of jar or vase. And the key criteria for the jar or vase is that it has a tight neck, but not a long tight neck, a narrow, short tight neck that's about the right size so that an egg almost can fit through it, but not quite. So you don't want it so small that there's no hope that the egg could ever make it through. But you don't want it so big that you could just push the egg in. Right now, if I want to get the egg into the jar, I'd have to shove it and probably damage the egg. That's about what you want. Now, if you don't have a vase like this vase at home, I saw today as I was looking through my refrigerator that there are many juice jars. If you buy grape juice and things like that at the store, many of them have about the right size neck. So you can walk around Kroger with an egg in your hand and go, yes, buy some prune juice or something. So anyway, you need a boiled egg. And the egg needs to be about the right size compared to the mouth of the jar. So egg, jar, you're going to need some flame producing agent. You can use matches or you can use one of these thicker things. And you need something that can burn fairly easily down in the jar. I put a Kleenex down in there because I tried a piece of watered up notebook paper and it didn't work as well. It likes to go out too soon. So Kleenex works great. You can experiment and find other things. The only other thing that I did to set this experiment up was before you guys got here. Actually, Eric witnessed this. But before you guys got here, I smeared just a little bit of butter around the opening to make it smooth and lubricated to help the experiment along. So you don't have to tell your kids that, though. You keep that secret. A little bad secret. You'll never know. All right, so egg in a bottle. So this lesson is drawn out of Ephesians 3:20, which we actually quoted earlier, that says that God is able to do immeasurably more than all we could ask or imagine. Talking about God being able to do the impossible. So now that I've explained the setup, here's what I would do if I was teaching this lesson to my kids. I would say, so what do you think? What would it take for me to get this egg in the bottle? I'd set it on there. And it doesn't go in. I'd say we don't want to damage the egg. So no chopping it up and dropping it in, no shoving it really hard and smushing it. And so we could theorize and postulate together what it might take. But in the end, most likely the kids had no idea how to get the egg in there. I wouldn't.
You start with the tissue inside the bottle.
I did, but you don't have to. You threw me off. Let me check my notes. That's okay. Family Night doesn't have to be perfectly rehearsed. So, do you think the word impossible applies to this situation?
Looks that way.
Is it impossible to get the egg inside the bottle? It kind of looks that way. Although the fact that I'm asking the question makes you think, if you're an older kid, you're thinking, obviously it's not impossible. He's got something up his sleeve. But the littler kids are like, there's no way. There's no way that can happen. And so then what we're going to do is demonstrate that it's possible. And how we're going to do that is, this takes rapid action. First I'm going to set the tissue on fire. And then as soon as I get my flamethrower out of the way, I'm going to put the egg on there. And watch what happens. All right, hopefully we won't set the church on fire. So it's burning, put the egg on. It's burning. Hopefully you can see something is happening to the egg. Mm-hmm. It's slow, but it is happening. And we just give it a second and
That's awesome.
Isn't that cool?
That is, yeah.
So it's not impossible to get the egg inside the jar. Now, let me think about this for a second. How can I get the egg back out of the jar? I just showed a trick to get it in. But how can I get it back out? And the idea is I'll drink of water here.
Vacuum cleaner.
All right, we have a suggestion for a vacuum cleaner. I suppose that might work, but I actually doubt that a vacuum cleaner would work.
I got nothing.
You got nothing? Eric, you got any? No ideas? All right.
I'm not breaking that.
So the first question, how do we get it in? You said, well, maybe it's impossible, but you guys really were convinced I could probably do it because that's why I was doing the demonstration. Now we're thinking about getting the egg back out, and you might be thinking, this really is impossible. He's going to talk about impossibilities now. But actually, I'm going to show you that it's not impossible to get the egg back out. And it does not involve the vacuum cleaner. Although I don't really want the napkin tied to my egg. Let go of my egg napkin.
Fell right on the heat spot.
It did fall. I don't want to stick my finger in and get the napkin off my egg. I have to edit this part out.
You're gonna hold it.
Well, let's see if it works anyway. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the egg down at the bottom of the jar. And then I'm going to hold the jar up. I'm going to blow really hard. And we're waiting. And we're waiting. And we're waiting. And the egg's out. I did damage it because the doggone napkin had a hold of it. Well, why did that work?
You increase the pressure inside and it pushed the egg out.
It did. Who would have thought that would have worked? Yeah, the egg acted like a check valve at the bottom. It allowed my air to go in, but it didn't allow my air to go out without pushing against the egg. So to start with, so I did damage the egg, like I said. We could do it again with a different egg. At the start, we had the egg on top. We didn't know how it was going to get in. I lit the flame. Why did it suck the egg in? What's the science going on here?
Vacuum again.
Yeah, the combustion changed the chemical makeup of what was inside there, and it changed the volume of what was in there. So even though things were a little hotter because of the flame, the dominant variable was the fact that the oxygen was being converted, and the volume was going down. So the volume going down in there created a vacuum, pressure out here, pushed the egg, and since it was pushing equally on all parts of the egg, it didn't damage the egg, it just pushed it in. And then similarly, when I blew, the air inside the vase was pushing against the egg until the egg popped its way back out. So that's kind of fun. So everybody thought it might be impossible to get the egg back out. I showed that it wasn't because I knew a trick. But so what looked impossible turned out to not be impossible. But with God, He wishes to accomplish the impossible, not just because He knows a trick, but because He's really that powerful. He is able to do more than anything we could ask or imagine. He is not limited by what looks impossible to us, and He wants to accomplish impossible things in us, and I guess to some degree through us. And so we just need to open our eyes to the fact that just because it doesn't look possible or it looks questionable, if God wants to do it, it's possible because He is able. And that's kind of all I wanted to share on the egg in a bottle.